Hey everyone, ready to unlock some serious wisdom? Today we're doing a deep dive into the mind of Naval Ravikant, and let me tell you, this is going to be good.
Now you might be thinking, who is this naval guy? And that's fair. He's not your typical self-help guru.
Now, he's not peddling some get-rich-quick scheme.
Not at all. Naval's a tech entrepreneur and investor, but he's known for his really insightful, often unconventional views on life.
He's like the philosopher king of Silicon Valley.
Ah, I like that.
So we're diving deep into the Almanack of Naval Ravikant. It's a collection of his most powerful ideas on wealth, happiness, really just living well. It was put together by Eric Jorgensen, so you know it's the good stuff.
And let me tell you, this book, it's not about winning the lottery or anything like that. Naval's philosophy is all about playing the long game, making smart decisions, understanding those real levers for success, both financially and personally.
Okay, so let's get into it. One of the things that really struck me is Naval's belief that building wealth is a skill, not just a matter of luck.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, right? Thinking, oh, they just got lucky.
Totally. But Naval breaks it down beautifully. What do you think? What stood out to you about his argument?
Well, he's not saying luck doesn't play A and Y role, but he argues that building wealth is about so much more than that. It's about knowledge, spotting opportunities, and then taking action.
Being proactive, not just waiting for good fortune to fall into your lap.
Exactly. Like, take Naval himself as an example. He didn't just stumble into success. He honed his skills, learned the tech industry inside and out, and took calculated risks. It was this combination of knowledge, action.
That's such a powerful distinction. So it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart.
100%.
So what are some of the specific strategies he talks about?
One of the key concepts he emphasizes is leverage using tools and systems that multiply your efforts. And this doesn't just apply to money, it applies to your time as well.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break that down for me. What does leverage look like in action?
Imagine you're building a business. Instead of trading your time for money directly, like in a traditional job, you create something that generates income even when you're not actively working. That's leverage.
So instead of just selling your hours, you're building something that works for you even while you sleep. That's a game changer.
Right. And that brings us to another crucial point about leverage. Naval is a huge advocate for owning equity in businesses.
Okay, so instead of just earning a salary, we should aim to own a piece of something bigger, something with the potential to grow exponentially.
You got it. Think of it like this. When you own equity, whether it's stocks in a company or real estate, you're not just trading your time for money, you're participating in the growth and success of that venture.
It's like the difference between renting an apartment and owning a house, right?
Yeah.
With a house, you're building equity and benefiting from any appreciation in value over time.
Exactly. And those returns can be significantly greater than what you would earn from a traditional job with a fixed salary. It's about thinking like an owner, not just an employee.
It makes you reevaluate your own relationship with work and investments. Are you on a path to building lasting wealth through equity, or are you stuck in that cycle of trading time for money? Big questions. But let's move on to another pillar of Naval's philosophy, happiness. He has a really interesting take on it, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. He throws out that traditional pursuit of happiness idea, like happiness is this thing we need to chase after.
Right.
Naval says forget that. Happiness isn't something you find externally, it's an internal state.
Whoa. Okay, so not about the fancy car, the bigger house, the perfect Instagram life?
Nope. Naval believes that while those external achievements might bring you a temporary boost, they won't lead to lasting happiness. He says true happiness, it comes from within.
That's a radical concept in our culture that's constantly telling us we need more to be happy. So how do we tap into this internal state of happiness? How do we cultivate it?
Well, Naval's a big proponent of practices like meditation and mindfulness. He talks about them as ways to train your mind, to become more aware of your thoughts and emotions.
We hear a lot about mindfulness these days. What does it actually mean in this context?
It's about learning to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, to be fully present in the moment instead of constantly dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. And you know what? You don't have to be a Zen master on a mountaintop to practice mindfulness.
I was just going to ask because meditation always sounded a bit intimidating.
I get it. But even taking a few minutes each day to just sit quietly, focus on your breath, and observe your thoughts can make a big difference. It's like hitting the reset button on your mind.
So we gain more control over our inner world rather than letting our emotions run the show.
Exactly. And when you think about it, that's incredibly powerful because we can't always control what happens to us externally, but we can control how we react to it.
It reminds me of that quote, "You can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself. The storm will pass."
I love that. And that's what Naval is getting at by cultivating inner peace through practices like meditation. We become more resilient and better equipped to handle whatever life throws our way. He even goes as far as to say that happiness is a skill.
A skill. Okay, I've never thought about it like that before.
It's like any other skill, it takes practice and effort. Just like you wouldn't expect to run a marathon without training, you can't expect to experience lasting happiness without putting in the work. It's about consciously choosing thoughts and habits that support your well-being.
It's about weeding out the negative self-talk and replacing it with more empowering beliefs, right?
Absolutely. You've got to be intentional about cultivating positivity and gratitude.
This is also insightful. We've covered building wealth like a skill and finding happiness from within. What's next in Naval's recipe for a fulfilling life?
Well, he ties it all together with another key ingredient, good judgment.
He talks about it as being crucial for navigating life successfully. Why is judgment so central to his philosophy?
Think about it. Good judgment influences every decision we make, big or small, from our careers and relationships to how we invest our money and spend our time. It's the foundation for making choices that align with our values and long-term goals.
It's like having a good internal compass.
Yeah.
It guides us in the right direction. But how do we actually develop good judgment? Is it something we're born with?
Thankfully, no. It's not like some people win the judgment lottery at birth, while others are stuck with a faulty compass. Naval believes we can cultivate good judgment through deliberate practice.
So it's like a muscle we can strengthen over time. How do we flex those judgment muscles?
Naval's a huge advocate for reading widely and thinking critically.
Yeah, he talks about that a lot.
And I'm not just talking about scrolling through headlines here. He encourages us to really dive deep into books, especially those outside of our comfort zones, and to really engage with the material.
So not just passively absorbing information, but actively questioning, analyzing, forming our own opinions.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Every book you read, every article you dissect, it's like adding another tool to your judgment toolbox. You start to see different perspectives, identify biases, and build a more nuanced understanding of the world.
It's like upgrading from a basic hammer to a whole workshop full of specialized tools. You're better equipped to handle any challenge that comes your way.
I like that analogy. And the more you use those tools, the sharper your judgment becomes. Naval also emphasizes the importance of learning from our mistakes.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just brushing them under the rug, but really dissecting why we made a particular decision and what we can learn from it.
It's about turning those mistakes into valuable lessons. So many times we're so afraid of failure that we don't even try. But if we can shift our perspective and view those experiences as opportunities for growth, that's where the real magic happens.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about developing that growth mindset, that willingness to embrace challenges and learn from our missteps.
We've covered so much ground today, from building wealth like a skill to cultivating inner happiness and honing our judgment. It's incredible how interconnected these ideas are, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. They're like pieces of a puzzle that fit together to create a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
And it all goes back to that core idea that we have more agency than we often realize. We're not just passive bystanders in our own lives. We have the power to shape our reality.
Exactly. And that's an incredibly empowering message. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with the final thought-provoking question inspired by Naval himself. He often says, escape competition through authenticity. What do you think he means by that?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think he's challenging us to stop trying to fit into a mold or chase someone else's definition of success.
Right. It's about tapping into your own unique strengths, passions, and experiences to create something truly authentic and valuable. When you're authentic, you're no longer competing in the same race as everyone else. You're creating your own lane.
That's such a powerful message to end on. It's a reminder that true fulfillment doesn't come from trying to outdo everyone else, but from embracing our individuality and creating something meaningful on our own terms.
Well said. And, you know, this deep dive into the Almanack of Naval Ravikant has been such a great reminder that true wealth goes far beyond our bank accounts. It's about cultivating wisdom, pursuing knowledge, and living a life that's aligned with our values.
Absolutely. It's about investing in ourselves, building meaningful relationships, and finding joy in the journey, not just the destination.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope this conversation has sparked some new insights and inspired you to explore Naval Ravikant's work further. And remember, the journey to a more fulfilling life starts with a single step. So what action will you take today?
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring.